Hi YouTube. In previous videos, I showed you how you can connect various PDAs like these Palms, as well as Pocket PC devices, to the internet via a Bluetooth dial-up networking connection. Now, if you look at these two devices now, you'll notice something really exciting going on. I have two simultaneous Bluetooth connections, Bluetooth dial-up connections, on each of these PDAs to my Linux tablet, which is out of view. One Palm, this trio on the left, is playing internet radio over Bluetooth, and the TX on the right is connected to a telnet server over Bluetooth. I was able to do this by adjusting settings both on the Palms and on the Linux tablet that's the server for these Bluetooth dial-up connections. Let me go to the settings on each device to show you what I had to do on the Palm side in order to get these simultaneous connections. Okay. I'll go ahead on the TX to Preferences. Network Details, and then this is the critical thing. Let me zoom in because this is really important. Okay. The IP address is set as automatic. Basically, it would take what the server provides if it did, but we don't want that to be the case. We want an IP address that's manually set here to be in the same subnet as the Ethernet subnet or Wi-Fi subnet from my router, which is 192.168.2.x. What I did is I unchecked automatic. I set this address as the manually set IP address for the device, but I can recheck automatic for a reason I'll get to when I switch to the Linux tablet. Anyway, so if the server does not provide a remote IP address, this is the one that's set. And accordingly, in Dundee PPPD in Linux, I have it set that it will take whatever IP address is set remotely. Okay, so that's set. I'll go ahead to CS Online again, the Telnet client. And we can make a connection. Okay, so that's the Palm side. What about the Linux side? What did I have to do there to get these simultaneous connections? Well, for that, I'm going to zoom out and move up to the tablet. Okay. This is the tablet, which has a Bluetooth interface and which is acting as the dial-up server. And what we're looking at, the text in the bottom of the page, is the peers done file, which is the configuration file for my Dundee Bluetooth dial-up networking daemon. It's pretty much the same as what I've shown in the past. No IP default route, proxy ARP, which makes sure that the Ethernet subnet is that this PPP connection is part of the Ethernet subnet, so there's a route to the internet through Wi-Fi. And this is the critical thing. Before I had set as local 192.168.2.13, and then as remote set from the server 192.168.2.200, but I commented that out and I only set the local IP address. I left the IP address to be assigned to the Palm or other PDA as nothing, and instead that is set by the Palm itself to 192.168.2.200 or 201, depending on the device. I guess that's one limitation. I tried to make this automatic, but the default PPP destination remote address is 10.64.64.64, which is not in the Ethernet subnet, and thus I couldn't get an internet connection. So I had to manually have settings for each desired IP address somewhere outside the space where other devices connected to the router are on that 192.168.2.x subnet. Anyway, everything else is the same DNS server, no authentication, local, no default root, and yeah, a few other things that don't affect it too much. It's really this that's highlighted, that's critical. And to show you again the script I'm using to start up Dundee, it's not a startup script. I'm starting it up manually by have it initialized in daemon mode, so I don't see the output, the status output on standard out. I use sudo Dundee listen for new connections as I'm making Microsoft compatibility, call DUN, which I showed you earlier. That's the peers DUN configuration file. That works great, and again, I think the actual connection is far above 115.2 kbps. I can get 128 kbps internet radio streams clear as a bell. Anyway, I hope that's helpful. So if you have multiple Palm devices or PDAs with Bluetooth and dial-up networking, you can have multiple simultaneous connections and use them for different purposes. Again, going back to Internet of Things, there's tons of applications you could have for these. Thanks for watching, and please like and subscribe.